Good morning, art attackers. It's week 2 of our spirit flags, and I want to try to give you guys some ideas today on what you could do for surface decoration. This is a little graffiti panel that I did last week, and we're going to recreate that today. Not really happy about having that fleur-de-lis on its side. I would kind of prefer that it, faced in the correct direction. So here we go. This is my panel size, and I'm just going to tape my fabric down to the table, and that's what's going to get sewn under. So I'm just going to go ahead and know that this area I don't really have to be overly concerned with, because that's going to get sewn down. Alright, I have two techniques that I want to try. I'm going to try to do a photo transfer using Citrosolve, and then I'm going to make a mask of this logo using freezer paper. So I'm going to show you both those techniques. I took the liberty of taping down all my sides, and now with a brush I am just brushing on the Citrosolve natural degreaser and burnishing it with a spoon. I'm pressing really hard. I'm going to take my tape off, just check it, add a little more Citrosolve, keep burnishing, kind of like how it looks. Little more Citrosolve, burnish, push hard, take it off. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. This image I took into Photoshop and made the threshold a little bit darker. I wanted to see if the contrast was higher, if it would give me a better image. So taking it into Photoshop, worked it a little bit, just painting on my Citrosolve again, just like before, taped my edges down. You can see the image come through as you paint the Citrosolve on, and then you start burnishing. This time I pressed a little bit harder because I felt like it could take it. This is 20-pound bond that I just put through a laser printer. This is not any type of special paper. So I'm just burnishing. I might add a little more Citrosolve. Let's take a look and see how it is. Well, there you go. Pretty darn cool, isn't it? This time we're going to see if the Citrosolve will transfer the colors that the printer has printed. So we're going to tape down our edges and paint the Citrosolve on just like we did in the other videos. I give a very liberal coat of Citrosolve, and I know this paper will hold up, so I'm pressing really, really hard and burnishing. And I'm probably burnishing for about 2 minutes. It looks like it's coming through pretty well, so I added a little more Citrosolve, and look at that. Using freezer paper that I got at good old Publix, I'm just going to cut a piece off the size of my logo here, and I'm going to tape it down to my light table, trace it onto the paper side of my freezer paper, not the waxy side, but the paper side. Using your tool of choice, scissors or X-Acto knife, you're going to carefully cut around your shape. Here comes the magic. Set your iron to a cotton setting. Put the waxy side down against your fabric. Won't take any more than about 10 seconds, and it presses right on. Now that you have it adhered to your fabric, you can use printmaking ink, you can use acrylic paint, you can use whatever you want. I'm just using a sponge dauber. And look at that. I really like my Louis IX image, so I made him large enough to fill my entire panel. And I'm just using the Citrosolve and the burnishing. I kind of kept the threshold at medium so that I could get some of the detail around the horse's eyes. And I'm really happy with how this came out. I'm going to use my Dynaflow inks, and I'm still using my fondant material that I bought at Michael's to thicken up my Dynaflow. The Dynaflow is a very, very thin fabric paint. It's so that it will flow. But if it's too thin, it's going to bleed. So I need to thicken it up just a little bit. So I'm going kind of slow here so you guys can see. I just put a little bit of the fondant material into the Dynaflow to mix it up, and then that's what I'm going to use to pounce through my stencils. If it's a little too thick, you can add a little bit more Dynaflow. There's a little bit of a dance. You'll be able to figure this out. You could also do this with acrylic paints. You could do it with other fabric paints, but the Dynaflow is particularly runny, so I'm thickening it up. I'm going to speed this up here, but I just want you to know I'm using these plastic stencils. I think I got them at Michael's. They're probably Tim Holtz. And I'm just using a sponge pouncer and just pouncing these Dynaflows onto the fabric. Try not to shift it so you don't smear your image. Just looks just lovely. And it's just fast. I'm mixing up a blue Dynaflow, adding just a tiny bit of that fondant powder. Again, I have another. Wasn't happy with how I was getting those circles there, so I took a brush and just tried to blend that a little better. This one is a Versatex. This is a screen printing ink, and I wanted this one to be a little more prominent. So I used the screen printing ink instead of the Dynaflow because it's a little thicker and heavier. Not quite as opaque as the Dynaflow. You notice I didn't even wash that off. I just stuck it right back down there on the bottom. See how I am? Switching up to orange here. This is also a Speedball ink. Thought I was going to write the whole St. Louis. Changed my mind. Went back to the Dynaflow. Here we are using another Tim Holtz stencil. Kind of like that one a lot. I just kind of threw some green in on top of that yellow. Didn't even wash the tray. I'm all over the place here, making a mess. I'm just kind of having fun. I kind of wish I'd thought about my colors a little bit more. I think the sun coming through up there in the top corner should have been yellow, and maybe these should have been blue instead of yellow and green. But I guess you need to be thinking about that before you start applying colors to your fabric. So try to think about your design and your colors before you even get started. And we're coming up on a big, huge mistake I'm about to make here. Too late, nothing I can do about it now. I decided I wanted to change colors here, so I just went ahead and added some color to the Dynaflow to make a brown. And it actually worked out for me okay. So you don't always have to wash up. If you're going to go from light to dark, you can just keep adding color and your inks will just keep getting darker and darker and darker. So that was kind of a fun thing. I like how that brown came out. It seems like I have a lot of it, so I'm going to go ahead and try to get a couple more little images out of it. I really like this little flower template that we've used in pottery before, so let me slap some flowers down and see how I like those. Nice! No fabric collage is complete without adding orange. I really, really like the orange. Wish I had used more of the orange and less of the pink that you're about to see. Pukey pink, as I call it. But I really kind of like how the orange came out. So have you ever heard the expression less is more? Now you know what it means. Here's our last video for today. This is fabric that I put tissue paper down on top of, just plain old tissue paper, and then spritzed it with water and let it sit for a little while. And then maybe a couple minutes, then I took the tissue paper off and it made these really pretty impressions onto the fabric that I kind of like. So I'm going to silk screen a tree, and I'm going to try to use this Speedball silk screen that C bought to use when you want to silk screen over a stencil. So I'm just going to lay my shaving cream and my brown up at the top above where my blue painter's tape is. I'm going to pull it through and we're going to see if we like it. So one thing I should have noticed on this screen is it's a really, really fine screen, and I'm not sure that the shaving cream is the right application for a screen with a mesh that fine. To be honest with you, I really am not happy with how it came out at all, but it was only 27 seconds of the demo, so I thought I would share my failures with you guys. Pick it up, take a look. Kind of looks crappy. But I don't know. Let's wait and see how it dries.
We'll have to see how it looks
maybe I
when
can
it's dry.
fill it in with paint markers or something like that. So thanks for watching today. I hope you guys got some ideas on how you can either photo transfer, use fuser paper to make your own stencils or masks, or using pre-bought stencils, how you can transfer images onto your fabric. Let's stop the screen share now, and we can talk about different applications that you guys might want to try. Also, any supplies that I have, I will be glad to share. We can have porch party. You can come by, use the silk screens. I'll be glad to share the Dynaflow. You might have to bring your own shaving cream. I'm running a little low on shaving cream. And also, you might need to bring your own freezer paper because I had to snipe some from C. So, but I'll be glad to set up an appointment for you guys, let you come by the front porch and do some work. Okay, let's talk.